Today I'm going to be featuring the Garden Lane Designer Series paper. It's on page 165 of the current annual catalog. And I also wanted to tell you that I believe all of these Designer Series papers are retiring. There are some that have been discounted. And when I looked on Friday morning, there were still many Designer Series papers left. So if you have Designer Series papers that you love from either the annual catalog or the mini catalog, you should plan on ordering those soon because they're only available while supplies last. And like I said, some of them are on sale at a discounted price. Today I'm going to feature the Garden Lane Designer Series paper. Good morning, Sharon. Okay, let's get started. Hopefully you checked out this VIP group early this morning and cut some cardstock and DSP. Again, it doesn't matter if you're using cardstock, DSP, or combination of both. You'll see today I'm using a combination of both. If you are somebody who has, whoops, trying to fix my lighting a little bit. If you are somebody that has made cards after the Make It With Mary Monday morning live, and you have posted them, thank you very much. Patricia, I know you've posted, just off the top of my head, I remember seeing yours. So if you're doing that, thank you, thank you, thank you, because this is all about sharing, giving you the idea of a card sketch and some ways that you can create with that particular sketch and those particular size items, and then how you change it up and make it your own. So first I'm going to show you the actual sketch with the pieces I gave you, with the dimensions I gave you. Okay, and these were the two that I said 1 1/4 inches by 3. All right, it's a standard size card, but I had you cut it in a vertical direction. So just a little bit different. So this is the actual sketch right here. Now here's another card I made using the very same sketch and the very same papers, and I stepped it up. Good morning, Fran. So I stepped it up. And that's another thing. We can use the sketch as is. You know, maybe you wanted to change out one of these to put a sentiment, but I added an extra piece for sentiment. I added a little bit of ribbon here. My ribbon tail isn't sticking out. There it goes. And then I also added some of these gold metallic dots that I thought would look nice. Okay. Remember, the inside is always a good place to maybe put a strip of DSP or something like that, or perhaps stamp a small image as well. All right, so there's the main sketch, and here is my stepped up card. So let's just make a couple together, and then we'll kind of talk through, and you can shout out some ideas. By shout out, I mean post in the comments some ideas of how we can step up each of these. Okay, so here's what I pulled out for the next one. And again, these are all from the Garden Lane Designer Series paper. I did use, I'm not sure if you caught that, 2 embossing folders on this one. It's the one with all the leaves. I do not remember, maybe leaves all over or something like that. Leaves all around, maybe. One of my favorites, definitely. I guess I should say all of the embossing folders I like, but that is one I've tended to use quite a bit more than some of the others. And then of course my very favorite is the subtle, and I use that for the strip. So just know that we are covering up a lot of that 5 1/4 by 4 inch base, so you may not see it as much. Okay. But Oh, where's my stamp set? Here it is. I'll use this on the next one. So super simple. But how would you, with the pieces I pulled out, I didn't even pull out the stamp set that goes with this. I believe it is retiring too, but don't quote me on that. Have any of you purchased from the Last Chance retiring list? Roz, you're right. This works so well with so many of our stamp sets. And it's got these neat geometric, almost quilt-like patterns. Plus it's got the flowery, nature-looking patterns as well, which I think is fun. Now a real easy step up here would be, I could be putting these layers on dimensionals. What thoughts do you have for stepping up this card? I have one that I'll show you briefly, but I'd like to hear what you have. Lots of times I get great ideas from all of you sharing here. So don't be shy about sharing. With this, I did choose to use the multi-purpose glue because, as you see, if I want to, it gives me a little grace period if I want to pick something up and move it around, which helps me with getting the spacing the same between these pieces. Any ideas about stepping this up? Okay, well, here's one for you. How about this? I pulled out this garden green ribbon, which is actually left over from using it during the holiday season. So I am just going to take it around like this and just tie a simple knot. It's kind of a thick ribbon, actually. It feels thicker than you would think just by looking at it. But you know, there's actually several choices of ribbon you can use with this Garden Lane Designer Series paper. Is that the right name, Garden Lane? Now that I've closed my catalog, I think it is. Dana's on here if it weren't. Oh, Dana. That's funny. Great minds think alike. I was going to say, if it's not called Garden Lane, Dana will know. Dana's on my team. And she always seems to know the names of our catalog products pretty well. So that is just, one simple ribbon or trim. I always like to fold my card bases before I put the layer on. For some reason, it helps me just center it better than if I'm just trying to look at half of the card base. Okay. Now, of course, we can always add any kind of sentiment to the outside or the inside. So I think I'm just going to tuck this in. I have a lot of cards I need to send out this week. So I'm going to tuck this in and see how I can use it later. Okay, Garden Lane is the correct name. Awesome. Now, one thing is, you might say, and this is a great way to use up your DSP scraps, okay? Especially when they're ones that come on, what do I want to say? DSP scraps that come out of the same pack. Usually, the majority of them all coordinate with each other. Sometimes a few coordinate with some patterns more than others, but generally, it's a great way to use up all your scraps in your different packs of Designer Series paper. But here's a thought. Just using Designer Series paper as your main card base, your first card layer, even that side's pretty. Does anybody on here quilt? I think quilters would enjoy this paper. Quilting is something I've always wanted to learn. Machine quilting, I should say. I've always been interested in that. Thinking maybe this summer I might give that a try, since I won't be going on vacation. I'll have to make a vacation of it for myself. Okay, so now I have just 4 pieces of cardstock. I am going to change this up, but I'm not going to do it with an embossing folder. I'm going to do it with a stamp. And this is one of our old ones, not the cling, so it doesn't necessarily stick really well. And I need a piece of scrap paper. I just had one. What I'm going to do is just stamp tone on tone on this piece of Mossy Meadow cardstock. So I'm using Mossy Meadow ink, and this is from the Rooted in Nature stamp set, along with this sentiment. Roz, you're using up lots of those strips. Isn't that the Bruno's scrappy, what do you call it, scrappy strip technique? Isn't that fun? At first I thought, I don't know, that's kind of a lot of pieces and parts, whatever. I love it. I love doing that technique. And you're right, you could also do it with cardstock strips as well. It doesn't necessarily have to be designer series paper. It could even be a combination of the cardstock and DSP. On things like this, I always like to go over the edges. Okay, it just gives it more of a finished look, like a real designer series paper. Okay, you notice designer series paper doesn't have a white border all around it, so I don't want a border around this with all the images in the center. So that's why I go off all the edges. So I'm going to add this. And doesn't that really change the look of that whole card just by doing that one step? Roz, you're funny. Stuck at home with the hubby watching TV, and it's easy to put those together. I think you're absolutely right. All right, let me add a sentiment. I was going to add Thinking of You. I think that's a little small. That piece is a little bit small for me, so I'm going to add. Now, one thing you could do too is, if this is a little tight, a little small, it'll just barely fit, I think. Maybe I should try it, since that's what I was going for to begin with anyways. But what I was going to say is, with something like this, if you felt, the piece could have been just a wee bit bigger, a little bit taller, that's something you could just make an easy adjustment with the cutting. You could make this maybe 2 inches instead of 1 3/4 to have that extra space, but I don't think it looks so bad. And then you also have those 2 pieces of the same size. And I think I'm going to leave these plain. What do you think? Should I do something with them? I could do a little tone on tone with these as well. Welcome, Julie. Thanks for joining in. I have an idea of how I can dress up those. And again, it would be perfectly fine to leave these plain. It's all about your choice. What sort of comes to you, what appeals to you. I think I'm going to do tone on tone with this. This is the soft seafoam ink pad and cardstock. And I'm going to do this. So I have that. Actually, maybe I'll put this one here. And this one I'm going to do this direction, and it'll be on the left corner. So there's a little change up for you, right? And these I think I would pop up on dimensionals. That would be a great idea too, Dana. Yes, using embossing folders to give these two plain pieces of cardstock a little more interest and dimension. I'm going to pop up all of these strips on dimensionals. Adding dimensionals to a few of the pieces is another great way to step up. And a lot of times people forget that that's actually a step up. A lot of times when we're talking about stepping up cards, we're thinking of ribbons and trims and embellishments, embossing folders, things like that. But using the Stampin' dimensional adhesives also can be considered a way of stepping up your cards. Oh no, that kind of looks cute flat in there too. Sort of like these two things frame it. I think I'm going to put this one on flap. That was not my intention. I was going to put this on dimensionals too. It's easier to center the middle one when I've done the top and bottom first. And I've just eyeballed the spacing there. And I have one last embellishment for here to dress this up. So as you can see, as we're going through all of these, how that very first card sketch, just plain, no sentiment, nothing, and we are converting it so many different ways, just building upon that one card sketch. And when I'm adding this video, oh, I like that. When I'm adding this video to my blog, I will be sure to add a picture of the actual card sketch too, because you might want to be saving those black, white, gray. And I want to tell you that sometimes I make up my own sketch, but for the Monday with Mary, I'm really enjoying going to Pinterest and finding other people's card sketches. Sometimes they just catch my eye and it's something I've never thought of or never done that way. And I'm really enjoying that. So I'm going to continue doing that. So that's always a great resource. But if you just kind of wanted to build up a library of card sketches, you can do that by pulling those pictures from my blog when I do the video replay on a blog post. Okay, here's one more. And again, I'm just using Designer Series paper on the back. Maybe you can see it better this way. And then all the other pieces I'm using are cardstock. So let's take Dana's idea and bring in the Big Shot. I'm going to get some of these out of the way for now, but I'll show them to you again at the end. And I think, I'm going to go ahead and use the leaf embossing folder. Yes, Amy, that's another good idea. You could stagger. Are you talking about move this piece left, Amy? Stagger it. I like that idea too. Why don't we do that on the next one? Okay. So now you can see I've got this dimension going right here. And I'm just going to do it like this. This time I'm going to make my card horizontal. So Amy, you're thinking like this. Okay. Now we could also do it this way. Does anybody have a preference? White on top or bottom? You know what I think I'm going to do here is I'm going to, first of all, stamp this. Let me stamp it here to see if how straight I stamp. Give myself a little practice. I want this to be real straight. Yep, not so good, huh? Try again, Mary. Oh, much better. Okay, and then I'm going to take my Trimble banner punch. And now this is 1 3/4, so it's not fitting in that 1.5 inch slot or the 2 inch slot. So I'm going to have to look on the back and center it. Here. I think I'm pretty close. So you can see it looks pretty centered from the back. Okay, remember this is designed for 1, 1.5, and 2 inch strips, but that's an easy adjustment to make. You just look on the back and you make sure that it is centered. Okay. Good morning, Robin. Oh, Patricia, that is another idea. Stamp on them first and then run them through the embossing folder. That would be really neat also. Okay, nobody told me bottom or top for this white strip. You have one last chance. I'm going top. It's hard for me to tell if you're just not answering or if it's delayed longer than I think. It can be up to about a 30-second delay. Oh, good. Top, top, top. Good. Okay, so now I'm going to, and I heard we should stagger this. Now here's another thought. What if we did something like this? Actually moved those pieces. See how I'm starting with the same basic layout, but I've turned it and I'm making another small adjustment there. Your finished piece doesn't have to look exactly like the original sketch. Oh, here it is. This one I'm going to pop up on dimensionals just because that's fun and that's what I like to do. Wouldn't that be something if I ran out of dimensionals during the pandemic? Oh, but it's not going to happen as long as Stampin' Up! Is staying open. You still like the banner in the middle? Okay, Amy, we're going it your way. You're speaking up, so I'm listening. But yes, fortunately, Stampin' Up! Is staying. You still like it staggered? Fortunately, Stampin' Up! Is still open. They are running at half staff, 2 different shifts, half staff, 12-hour shifts, I believe, with a little time in between them. So we are very, very fortunate that they are staying open and they are still making stamps and packing and shipping and all of that. So I feel that we are very blessed to be in this position. So no, I will not run out of dimensionals. That would be like a nightmare. What would I do? A little dramatic, isn't it, when there's so much else going on in our world? But you get it. You're a crafter, you get it. I'm just being silly. Okay, what do you think? Any other thoughts on this? I do feel like it needs a little bling or something on the front. And I think the reason I feel that way is because of how high I stamped the sentiment on the banner. Oh, I know what we could use. I just thought of this, the holiday rhinestones. Does anybody have any of those holiday rhinestones left? All those fun colors. Oh, love these. Let's see, are there any that coordinate? I'm not so sure. Let's see what color we could do. Mossy Meadow. Yeah, I'm gonna color some of these, change the color on a couple of these to Mossy Meadow, because none of them really match all that great. I was thinking these are mint macaron, but they might be pool party. So I'm just going to change it up. How awesome is this that we have these wonderful Stampin' blends to customize our embellishments, our ribbon, our pearls, rhinestones. And then I'm going to go ahead and add these. I think one here. Okay, I like that. And then I'm going to space them out a little bit. I don't know where I'm going with these. About one over here, and then maybe one there. All right, I know you ladies like bling. Okay, enough bling? All right, let's lay these out and review really quickly. There's another ribbon we could have used with the with this paper. Oh no, that's kind of fun, isn't it? You know what? We didn't dress up the original one. I think we should dress up that original one. So this is what I'm gonna do. First of all, I'm gonna put, yes, I'm gonna stamp on here, Wonderful You. So this would be an extra piece of cardstock that I'm using. Oops, I smeared it a little. An extra piece, not one of the original pieces. But I'm gonna make a little banner with this. I'm gonna grab that triple banner punch again. I'll cut some off though. You know, I didn't really center that well. Okay, we're going for another one, ladies. To me, the sentiment is the most important part on the card, so I want to make sure that, is that one 1.5? Yes. So I want to make sure that it looks nice, it's centered, it's not smudged. I think if you make a mistake on the sentiment, that's much harder to hide than some of the others mistakes we might make, right? I'm going to take a little bit more off that. Now I don't want to go all the way in, because if I do, I'll show you. If I do, I'm going to end up cutting the letters. Oh, maybe not, but I think I'm going to be pretty close. Yeah, I'd be awfully close. So I'm just going to go in part way. But this 1.5 inch strip fits in the groove, so it's easy for me to center. Yes, I like that much better. And I think I'll add this one with dimensionals. So what are you thinking? Who's going to give this card sketch a try? Who's crafting along with me? Anybody? Patricia, how about you? You have the last couple times. And I hope that after this live is finished, that you will share it from this group, or perhaps you'll see it on my blog later this week or on YouTube and share it from there as well. I would appreciate that so much. Okay, I think we need some more bling, don't we? I think I'm going to go for, let's see, I have the silver leaves left. I don't know if I like silver on there. Oh, there's one copper colored one. What do you think of this? One of each color? Or would you do 2 silvers? Or 1 bronze? Oh, I know what I'm going to do. Got it. I'm going to do that. Oh, Patricia, yep, that can be tricky because I don't tell you which colors are DSP to use. So sometimes you don't know until you see how the sketch is put together. I totally understand that. And that's part of the reason why I don't tell you, is because I want you to think a little bit yourself. Well, how would I do this and what would I change? So, so now's your chance to add color as you wish. I can't wait to see what you make though, Patricia. Make sure you share it again. I love it when you do that. And hopefully several others will case this card sketch and add their own creations for us all to see. Because that's what this group is all about, sharing. Sharing our ideas, sharing what we make. And I want to be able to learn and get new ideas from all of you too. Oh, I like that. What do you think? Amy says she'll definitely try. Oh, you would have done 1 of each. Okay. Thanks everybody for sharing. Okay, quick review. You saw we had the basic layout that I had undecorated, and we just added these pieces to the sentiment and the leaves. This was the other sample I showed you, having stepped it up with 2 embossing folders as sentiment that I punched, ribbon, and the gold metallic pearls. And then what did we do? I believe we did this next. Same basic layout. The only thing we did differently was add the ribbon with the knots. Easy to add a sentiment to the front or the inside of the card. Then we did this one, Thinking of You. And then lastly, we did this horizontal card. Does anybody have a favorite? It's hard for me to choose just one, but I've kind of narrowed mine down. Anybody have a favorite? 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5? Remember, on many of these, you'll want to add your Whisper White layer to the inside of the card base, so you have a good neutral cardstock to do your writing on, or if you want to stamp a sentiment on as well. Okay, that's all I have for you today. I will not be doing a Facebook Live. Robin says number 4. Amy says 1. Pat likes the ribbons and the knots. Okay. 1 and 4. Interesting. To me, it's these 3, but I was kind of leaning towards these being my top 2. But I like how this is different too, how we've changed that. I think in the future I might have stamped that differently, or maybe stamped it on a separate piece of cardstock and cut out the words and layered them on there. And I look forward to putting a sentiment on that one. Okay, I will not be doing a Facebook Live on Stampin' Scrap with Mary Knabe. I know some of you realize tomorrow is Cinco de Mayo. So my nieces are planning a Cinco de Mayo dinner at their house. So my daughters and I are going to go over there for dinner. So I'm going to enjoy that. So I will see you back here on Stampin' Piece VIP group on Thursday at 2 p.m., right? Yes, Thursday at 2 p.m. I just wanted to mention also, a couple of you asked if I was okay. I've kind of been off the radar for a few days. I was just have been feeling very anxious, and it just got progressively worse last week. So I took a few days to unplug this weekend. I spent time with my family. Emily and I worked in the garden and planted flowers. So I'm doing better. But I just want to tell each of you that for somebody like me who deals with depression and anxiety on a lifelong basis, you know, it's just the way our brains are wired. And sometimes, even if you don't deal with that on a regular basis, something as traumatic as a pandemic or death in the family or a loss of job, all kinds of things can cause us anxiety and depression. So please, if you're ever feeling that way, you can always reach out to me or reach out to somebody else that loves you. And please keep in mind too that May is Mental Health Awareness Month. And unfortunately, many people don't recognize mental health as being as important perhaps as physical health or heart health, things like that. But it is, okay? So I'm happy I could be here to share with you today, and I look forward to seeing you next time. Have a great day. Don't forget to post your pictures. Bye-bye.